Republic of Indonesia. It is Southeast Asia's largest economy. Comprises of 17,508 islands, with main largest islands are Sumatra, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Papua New Guinea, and Java. It is also the world's largest archipelago country. It is also home for 243 million people, speaking 583 languages and dialects. Indonesia is the fourth most populous country. It is the third largest democracy, and it's home to the largest Muslim population. Let's start with the background of globalization. Advances in technology such as mobile phone, airplane, telephone, and the internet have made the growth of transport and communication network possible. Among the other things, these mean people and countries can exchange information and goods more quickly and less complicated way. This process is called globalization. The purpose of globalization is to the maintain of the country's security, to increase international trade of country, and to develop in social culture, sports, and in tourism sector. In Indonesia, the national governmental organization that is responsible for culture and tourism policy, strategy, development, marketing and promotion is the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, also known as MCT. The vision of this tourism body is to envisage a national identity, unity of a multicultural nation, the people's welfare, and international cooperation. And the mission is, first, to carry out conservation and culture development based on cultural value, to develop promotion and tourism destinations in order to obtain a competitive advantage. Besides, it also help to develop culture and tourism resources, and develop a transparent government and public accountability. In addition, Indonesia is also a member of World Trade Organization, preferably known as WTO. In fact, the President of Indonesia, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, has become the first Asian head of state to join the ongoing of World Tourism Organization. According to Indonesia's president, tourism has provided job opportunities for 4 million of people across the globe. It is one leading exports of developing countries, and is a key stimulus in the transformation to a green economy. The outcome of globalization can be seen in transportation sector, and as well technology and communication sector. The development of transport technology in the world brings great influence on the lives of people in Indonesia. Traditional transportation gradually transformed into a more modern as a result of globalization. In ancient times, the people of Indonesia are still familiar with the means of transportation in the form of animals. They utilize powerful animals like horses, buffalo, or cow for transportation purposes, both for moving goods and travel to a distant place. Foreign nation, particularly from Europe to Indonesia. It is them who bring change to the people of this country in terms of transportation. By doing so, Indonesian society began to recognize the existence of transportation that uses the engine from the car, motorcycle, up to the train. Broadly, Indonesia has experienced 4 times the changes and developments in the field of transportation technology, which is the first mentioned motor vehicle. In 1893, the first time the motor vehicle is present in Indonesia, and taken by the British. And since 1920, Indonesia is also beginning to develop the automotive industry. Second is train. Indonesia introduced a train by the Dutch colonial time since 1840. And until now, Most of the rail infrastructure in Indonesia is the result of the Dutch colonial pastime. Next is sea transportation. Indonesia already familiar with sea transportation since ancient times. The most ancient marine vehicles have existed before the 1500s was a ship. In 1890, the Dutch colonials start building the first shipping company in Indonesia. And since then, the technology keep develop. Last is air transport. In 1911, the aircraft was finally brought to Indonesia for the first time. Since then, the Dutch often demonstrate aircraft in Indonesia. Communication is very important in life, whether it is verbal communication and nonverbal communication. The ancients, even since ancient times, still had to use communication as the pictures as a medium of communication. Communication development in Indonesia is very grown rapidly along with the development of information and communication technology. This video will be described on the development of communication in Indonesia from now until today. At first, communication was done in a very simple way. The form can use stone, wood, bark, bamboo, or palm, and use the Sanskrit language. This has been done since the royal era. After that, communication using pigeon bird was first used in 1416. Pigeon is used because this bird known for its intelligence and have good memory. Then, telegraph was introduced by American. It was used to send and received message remotely. And in 1882, the first telephone is used. Along with that, Indonesia has developed its telecommunications, and so, communication in Indonesia has developed. And pager was used in Indonesia. Next development is mobile phone in 1984, and latest in 1990s, Indonesia was exposed to internet. With the existence of globalization, we can see the positives and negatives impacts for tourism in Indonesia. The positive impact is, it provides easy transport for tourists. Due to globalization, many cities in Indonesia can be easily reach either airlines as well as the sea lanes. Example, in Indonesia there's one island named Pulau Raja Ampat. Formerly, this island is very difficult to reach, but now there is airline and boat to get there. And with the advancement of technology, tourists who want to come to Indonesia are allowed to make use of internet. By using the internet, tourists can easily make a reservation for their holiday in Indonesia while they are still in their own country. For example, using a website like Agoda or Booking.com before visiting Indonesia. This website will allow tourists to look for information about destinations that they will be visiting. Besides, by allowing foreign investment in Indonesia, it provided job opportunities to local. It reduced number of unemployed in Indonesia. Because many new jobs such as hotels in Bali, textile company in Java, and gold mining in Papua, local residents can also develop domestic products such as batik fabric or handicraft for sale to tourists. Besides, due to globalization, many tourists come and visit Indonesia. This causes an additional of hotel constructions, airlines business, tour operators, and other service goods to accommodate tourists' need. It also allows a foreign direct investment, or also known as FDI, in hotels and other tourist attractions in order to create global tourism markets. It can be seen from many of big hotel chains are now available in Indonesia, like Marriott International, Mandarin Oriental Group Hotel, Four Seasons Hotel, and big airlines such as Emirates, British Airways, Qantas, Singapore Airlines, Swiss Air, and so on. In education sector, globalization has been considered as cause of the expansion of employment. With many of institutions in the world, people from Indonesia can have chance to learn better in other country. For developing country like Indonesia, this is beneficial. In international trade sector, it has expanded the range of export and import with the help of outsourced business. The concept outsourced business actually started long ago. Internet also is one way of outsourced business. It helped organizations in many aspects. One of it is to cut the production costs. The increasing role played by the internet and other forms of human interaction has become a way to make international outsourcing. Traditionally, outsourcing processes that are used in a country called onshore outsourcing. As neighboring countries began to participate, the concept appears onshore outsourcing, for example, migrant workers to Malaysia. And now, along with the idea of globalization, the process of outsourcing to distant countries called offshore outsourcing, examples of migrant workers to Saudi. Determinants of the dominating type of outsourcing is the interaction of values and costs. However, even though globalization has made a great impact to the country, it still has its negative impacts. By allowing globalization to take place in Indonesia, Indonesia has lost a lot of its culture and tradition. Many of teenagers in Indonesia are more interested in Western culture. In fact, most of them don't know how to play traditional games and instruments. They are more exposed to westernized games, such as video games, PlayStation, and online game on internet. They also become more exposed to Western lifestyle, looking to how they dress, following the same hairstyle. The traditional games, examples are Angklung, Kongklak, Lompat Tali, Petak Umpet, and Ram. The Western lifestyle have influenced much of Indonesian teenagers in terms of how they dress, hairstyle, and so on and so forth. Whereas foreigners are actually more interested in learning our culture. Other than that, with globalization which have allowed foreign companies to invest in Indonesia, it has created wages inequity. As you may know, that they are hiring a lot of workers with low economy status, and exacerbated them by the very low wages, that their lives lack of progress in the economic field. Other than that, the foreign company does not care about the welfare of the workers. Followers believe that globalization was the only way to unite people of all races, all nations, and reduce poverty, and what actually happened was quite the opposite process of the trend. The poor becoming markedly poor, while the very wealthy are becoming extremely wealthy. Here is the home of most employees with low wages. The dorms are made from packing cases and boxes, and when it is rain, they flood. Even though there is water sources, but there is no clean water. Looking from its condition, many children here are undernourished and also a prey to disease.
Hello Mr. Mike, maybe earlier on we have discussed on the topic globalization in Indonesia. So what can you conclude from the video, and tell us about globalization in Indonesia?
In this case we can say that Indonesia has benefited from globalization. They have achieved economic growth and increase from investment, but still affected under economic fluctuation. Globalization has helped Indonesia tourism sector increase in technology and communication as well as improvement of transportation system.
How can you conclude on the impact of globalization in Indonesia?
Well, you need to understand the concept first. Tourism and globalization are interrelated and complementary benefit each other. Globalization is two-edged sword, which will positively and negatively impact on tourism in Indonesia. The government should monitor carefully the negative impact of globalization.
Last but not least, can you conclude what are the future strategy to improve Indonesia tourism and this globalization era?
Well, Indonesia has drafted tourism strategy and future by propose a variety of a long-term strategy in planning, investment, research, and development to create a competitive tourism.
Thank you very much Mr. Mike. And thank you for all of you guys for watching this video, and we hope our presentation gives you something valuable for your future.